Now I see it 50,000. Maybe with this, you use your national ID, it probably will double the number, because some of the people, they're really hesitant to travel here and there because of the bureaucracy and because of the time delay and what have you. So I think traveling with this national ID, definitely it will facilitate the movement of people from Bahrain to Saudi and vice versa from Saudi. And don't forget what I heard, the King Fahd Causeway will be connected, or maybe it's already connected with Qatar. So that's, again, it's a plus. It's in fact plus for people who are traveling from Saudi to go to Bahrain, Kingdom of Bahrain, and then on to Qatar and vice versa. Don't forget now when we heard about the railway project that will connect, the GCC country. That's a great project because people now have an alternative. You're not really tied to, you must take an airplane to fly, and you're subject to finding a reservation or then finding reservation and so on. But now you have alternative traveling venue or vehicle or tours, if you will. You have the railroad, very, in a couple of years to come. You have the causeway, as you mentioned, and you have also the railway and the airplanes to fly with. So the multi-venue and vehicles to travel, that will even facilitate, and I'm sure that 50,000 today will be, I don't know, will be 200, will be 300 in the near future.
Okay. Still in economics or the economies of both countries, as we all know that the monetary union for the GCC countries have been making very good progress and taking very concrete steps. Dr. Mohammed Al-Jassim now is the head of
the chairman, yes.
The chairman of the GCC monetary union. We know Kingdom Bahrain is part of this union. How is this going to affect the already very good economic relations between both countries?
Well, the single currency, as you rightly mentioned, it's part of a huge and long-standing efforts since the GCC inception back in 1981, when they started a mutual agreement between the 6 GCC countries. What is being called at that time economic integration between the 6 countries. And they started then with they had that agreement, and they started the free zone, between the different 6 countries. And then they came in 2003 exactly when they had this unified tariff, if you will, custom tariff. And then we moved into 2008 when we have this common GCC market. And this is now the final stage, is to have a GCC bank, unified bank, and a GCC also unified currency. And alhamdulillah, we managed, just a couple of days back when they had the GCC banks chairman, they have their meeting here, and they agreed on the formation, of course, with the direction of the kings and the royal princes of the GCC, is to form that what's being called the Monetary Council. The Monetary Council is a step forward, if you will, to form the bank, the GCC Reserve Bank, if you will, and to come up with the unified or single currency. But I'm not, I just want to clear something. Having a unified currency, it is not the only thing that we strive or we drive to. The currency is like a tool that we will use to unify it, as you mentioned rightly, the exchange rate between the different countries, and make it easy for the trade to flow even better, and for the people, individual like you and I, travel easier to the country. But it's more than that to it. One of the benefits that now when you talk with a single currency, with the 6 countries, I'm sure UAE one day will rethink its position and readdress its position, and also Oman in that regard. The 6 countries jointly, they have like more than 40% of the world oil reserve. So when you talk with a currency, with the countries of that economic power, with a 40% oil reserve, and production-wise, the kingdom now is the first producer, worldwide. Also, don't forget the gas capacity, the natural gas capacity. So when you talk with the 6 countries with a single currency, so your negotiation power even will improve. And don't forget the 6 countries are member of the WTO, so that even what you call a WTO plus.
Added value.
It gives you added value. In fact, I'm not exaggerating. Some economists, they believe that whatever the currency called, whether Riyal, Dirham, Khaliji, regardless of the name, that one day the single unified currency, GCC single unified currency, will compete. This is what the economists predict with the euro and with the US dollar. And I'm in favor of that. Again, why? Because 6 solid countries behind that countries, from the economic point of view, from the oil point of view, from the natural gases, and also the economic, if you like, the economic wealth and the economic power of the 6 countries. So I really don't discount the possibility that one day, whatever the name of the currency, will really be a very important currency next to the, as you mentioned, to the US dollar and next to the euro or to the Japanese yen.
But as an economic analyst, how is this going to affect a unified currency? How is this going to affect the prices of the stocks, the inflation, all of these things? I mean, it's hard to predict, but...
No, it is not hard to predict. You know, when you have a single currency, it will ease for you, Mr. Khalid, for Tal'at, for whoever traveling, is the exchange rate. Because sometimes when you, although the exchange rate between, the currency almost fixed, but it varies. So it is for you, when you go to Bahrain, you must take a dinar, and when you come back, you must go back to Riyal.
No, I don't think this is an issue. I mean, in Bahrain, they accept Saudi money.
But it's easier for you when you have that single currency, works everywhere.
No, but right? I'm talking in general. How is this going
in general, definitely it will affect positively the trade. And this is the very important value for me being
and the inflation, how is the...
And the inflation, because don't forget, when you come to the single currency, you cannot, now people do predict, when we have this monetary council, that tomorrow the single currency will be on the table. No, this is not true. Because before you get to that single currency, it may take you 2 to 3 to 5 years, whatever. Because you have to agree first on a physical monetary policy that you should be unified. Now, the kingdom has its own policy, being monetary or being physical. The Bahrainis, they have the same, and the UAE, they have the same, and the Qataris, they have the same. They're their own. Now it's become to unification. So we have to unify the inflation rate, especially in 2008 and 2007. Especially in 2008, it was very difficult to make a unified currency because we had a very different inflation rates. While in Saudis, we almost about 10%. This is back in 2008. While in some other countries, GCC, we were around 16. So it's no way on earth that you can have a single unified currency with a different inflation rates. So there should be an inflation rate relevant to the GDP or relevant to the NG, to the national product, domestic product. Plus, it should be, reserve, certain reserve to back up the coming currency, which could be Khaliji, could be Riyal, could be whatever, but there should be also a reserve to back up that currency, because you cannot have a currency with power without having the proper reserve, whether that proper reserve is gold, US dollar, mixed currency, basket currency, regardless of where the GCC, heading toward that. So, as I mentioned, it will reflect definitely on the trade between the two countries, because there is no FX, foreign currency exchange, back to Riyal, back to whatever. And plus with the other things in mind, which is the common unified GCC market with the unified tariff, as we agreed, and no tariff, for certain goods flowing, plus the negotiation power, and that's my important, the negotiation power of the 6 countries towards the world, the rest of the world. That's definitely more than one benefit having a unified currency.
Very interesting. Now, let me ask you, Mr. طلعت, about obviously the future of the economies of all the GCC countries hold a lot of encouraging things. But let's comment on maybe the recent decision by the government of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in establishing an agency or a King Abdullah City for the renewable and also I believe nuclear.
Nuclear, yeah.
Yes. How is this going to affect also the economics of the GCC countries in terms of saving some of the oil to be exported?
I think this is a great move from Kingdom, and you know, every one of us should be happy of that move to have, you know, such a city in Saudi Arabia. Simply because we in Saudi, it's a growing society. We grow at 2.5 you know, annual rate in society, in population. We heavily depend on electricity. We heavily depend on
desalination water.
Yeah, desalination water. And you cannot really, for good, using the traditional, if you will, aspect of the energy to, you know, to raise electricity or to produce electricity or to produce water in regard. So the alternative to this is to use alternative source of energy, and which is one of which is the, you know, the nuclear. The nuclear